Hello, hi dear friends, Bernd here. Let's move on to another genus of orchids, namely the ladies' slipper orchids. Ladies' slipper orchids tend to grow terrestrially, which means they actually like the substrate to be somewhat moist. And that, of course, can make things a bit more difficult if you can't take care of the plants for a longer period of time, as it may be harder for them to survive such a phase. That's why we're just going to take a look at the whole thing now. You know, I currently have 3 plants. Maybe 2 or 3 more will be added, so we can take a look at different plants. And I'll start with this one here. This is the Paphiopedilum colossum, crossed with Paphiopedilum sucaculi. This hybrid is very, very vigorous, as we can see. Really great. It has developed a new shoot here and another new shoot here. That means we won't have to wait much longer before flowers appear here. Here's the plant again for you to look at. You see it correctly, I got this plant from Orchidine Wichmann, and you can see what the roots look like. They're really, by now, dry. You can't see any moisture left in the container either. This means that now, after more than 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since I last watered it, it's definitely time to water it again. Of course, you could bridge this period by simply giving the plant a bit more water if you're going on vacation, but it shouldn't be kept too wet. In this case, I'm going to water them now. Where were these plants kept while I was away? The plants were kept here behind me, in this darker, cooler room where I assume it didn't get too hot. But it's probably gotten a bit warmer, especially when the sun shines on the roof. That can of course happen. And now you can see there's water in it again. That means the plant can now take care of itself perfectly again. And of course make sure that the 2 new buds and new shoots that are coming also develop flowers. Let's move on to the next Phalaenopsis orchid. Here it's the same situation. The plant itself is currently not doing much, or wait, there actually is one coming. Here's a new shoot and here comes a small new shoot, because I almost didn't see it. And you know this plant, I've already shown you twice how it blooms. And this one is also relatively dry in its planter. And that's why it's time to water it. What does relatively dry mean? It's dry. And you can also see that both are standing in the same glass container in Colomi. And that also explains why they're about the same. I don't think so. This one here is one size larger and there's also a slightly bigger plant in it, but in a similarly sized glass container. That also explains why the moisture disappears much faster here than in this glass container. Right over here we have another lady's slipper orchid to look at. We can see the old growth shoot right here. It has now completely died off, which is a completely normal process. And you can safely remove it now. All you need to do is take a pair of scissors. You don't even need to disinfect them, because everything here is already dead. This plant. However, it does have a problem. I hope I can show you. Yes, I think you can see it. It has a problem with mealybugs. Mealybugs thrive in such dry, warm air. And if you see them on any orchid, you saw it here. In the bulbophyllum update, there was one that also had mealybugs. You can see it here on the leaf as well. But I think the camera can't resolve well enough to make out that tiny mealybug. In such warm temperatures, it's a dream come true for mealybugs. It's like when you're lying on the beach yourself and say, wow, this is nice. That's exactly what the mealybug thinks, and it starts multiplying. I don't know if you do that too, multiply on the beach, but the mealybug definitely does. And then, in no time at all, your whole plant is covered. Full of mealybugs. Nevertheless, of course, they get their treatment. The mealybugs, so they go away, and the plant, so that it stays protected for several days. Still, I wanted to show you that in this large pot, you can probably see it here, there is moisture present for much longer, of course. This means a large pot supplies the plant with moisture for a longer period of time. Of course, you also have to be careful that the pot isn't too big, because otherwise the plant will just be too wet all the time. Of course, it also depends on the orchid. If it's one that really needs and wants a lot of moisture, then that can naturally be an advantage. But even this one here has developed a nice new shoot. It did. I've already shown you that before. It used to be in a long drink glass. Now it's in this glass container. So it will be blooming soon as well. Now it's getting its treatment against mealybugs. And then it will start doing better again. Let's come to the conclusion. Ladies, slipper orchids, depending on what kind of container you use, that could make things a bit more difficult, and that also affects how long you can be away on vacation. And that's why I would almost say you need to be a bit more careful here than with the others. With orchids, as I said, it also depends on whether the container is large enough to provide moisture over a longer period of time, or if the container is so small that the moisture disappears relatively quickly. If you have any more questions about ladies' slipper orchids, feel free to write them in. If you want to support the project, you can leave a comment. Down here there's a little heart, you can click on it. You can also visit the website to find more information about orchids or buy me a coffee there. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. With sugar, without sugar, as a latte macchiato, however you like it, you may choose. Another tip, with a channel membership, you get to see all the videos before anyone else as soon as they're online. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and